So this is Eileen. She is a author, speaker, and a founder of Lady Bellator and host of the Unsideline Life podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for having me. A little break in my day. So it's
Yeah.
good.
So I do want to talk to you about your journey. If you could describe it in one word, how would you describe it?
Ongoing. That's my word. When I saw
That's
that
a good
question, I
one.
was trying to think of all these different things, but it's like, you know what? It's ongoing. And I forgot there was another word, never ending. What was the other word? Never ending sounds bad. Ongoing sounds progressive. So I'm
Yes,
going with ongoing because it
that's
is very
good.
much progressive. And
Yeah.
yeah, so you can ask me why I said that word, but yeah, so
Yeah.
just keep going
Why?
with the questions. Why? Okay. Well, I was married for 16 years, had 8 kids with my first husband. So that journey into that led to divorce was because we were a very outspoken couple in terms of our faith. He used to be in the NFL, and so you add the whole limelight thing. Unfortunately, there was a time where he shifted in his beliefs and the values, the biblical values, the covenant of husband and wife turned into husband and wives. A woman was not created in the image of God. Her value
Mm,
came in cooking, cleaning babies, all those things. So unfortunately, there was a shift in our marriage. And long story short, we had to part ways. That was a challenge of just kind of working through that whole thing, like I said, in the public eye, but just not knowing who I was. I prior to marriage and the whole thing with the NFL thing alone, you come to a place of an identity crisis when you step into that world. But here I'm stabilizing in that and knowing who I am at marriage. And then when his season ended or the football career ended, and then as my marriage was ending, I had to go through that again. I'm thinking, gosh, it really is that all that I bring to the table? Cooking, cleaning, having babies. What if I can't have babies anymore? Which obviously is at some point going to be the case.
mm-hmm.
Do I have anything off? In which I was told that I didn't. So I had to come to this new place of, okay, who am I? What value I bring? What's my purpose? What's my worth? So I had to go through that process again. I remarried. So I have 8, he has 7, so that's total 15. And so there's a whole lot of new and ongoing in new relationship dynamics as a husband
Yeah.
and wife, blending family. So that's what I mean when I say ongoing, as well as, stepping into the world of entrepreneurship, going outside of the home to, add to my plate, because I love
Mm-hmm.
my family. I mean, I've been a stay-home mom for 20 something years. And so now it's just stepping into, coaching, podcasting, or authorship, all those things. I mean, it's definitely a challenge. So it's for sure been ongoing. So that's why I chose that word.
That's a good word. That's awesome. 15 kids. That's a lot.
Yes. And I mean, when I say that, people think, oh my gosh, your Christmases, your holidays, like they must be crazy. We've not, there's dynamics of age and a relationship. So I have all 8 here. Well, actually, I take that back. My oldest is an hour away at school. My second one is in Nebraska. So we're in California. My furthest child is in Nebraska, and then everybody else is at home. So for him, he's got 2 in Denver, and the rest are in Illinois. So, so yeah. So and we see his oldest 2. Or I have more like there's strong relationship with his oldest 2 and his youngest 2. His youngest 2 actually get along really well with my kids here. And so they totally talk from a distance. They're texting and just doing
Oh,
the things while, they're in Chicago and my
yeah.
kids are here. So it's been a like such a blessing to have, you know, those like I said, the
Yeah.
15 and it's a lot.
When did you guys get married?
We got married 4 years ago. We
Okay.
met
So you're new
online, I
still.
think
That's awesome.
before that.
Sorry, you
Yes,
broke up. What'd you
never
say?
would have
You met
expected.
online?
I said yes, we met online.
Okay.
Yeah, on Bumble.
There's
So,
nothing
pretty
wrong with
crazy,
that.
huh?
I love it.
Yes,
I know
yes.
nothing about dating sites, so like you could say anything, I wouldn't know the difference.
Well, okay, if you want a good laugh, oh my gosh,
Yes.
you,
Tell me.
especially with you laughing as much as you do, you would like have like a six pack because it's the funniest thing ever. When I first went on it, I got on there. I was kind of like, this is stupid. Like I shouldn't do this. And I was asking my friend about it. And that one was eHarmony. So she was married. She got married off of that site. So I'm asking her about it as I'm filling out the little form and the biography and stuff like that. So by the time our conversation ends, I'm like, click, press enter. And all these things are coming through. And I was laughing so hard. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what have I gotten myself into? I mean, first it was funny because they're the comments or just the way they look was just comment. I mean, I'm just like showing my kids. I'm like, hey, what about him? He's your, I'm showing my
Yeah.
mom. Look at my new, my boyfriend. I mean, it was just crazy. But after a while, I was like, I'm so done. And I think I had it, because you can kind of expand to your city
Mhm.
or, the country. And I think I just put Midwest. And so I mean, I was like, I am so done with selfies, horrible selfies in the bathroom or outside with your beer, your flannels, your fish, your football.
It's
Like, I was
always the
like,
fish.
okay, yes. Yeah, I'm like, or your dogs. So I was like, this is like ridiculous. Like, oh my gosh, I can't. Like, God, I can't. Like, there's no way I can marry someone from the Midwest. That's what
And
I
you
said.
did.
And I did, although he is not at all like that. His picture, and this is what caught my eye, and this is a funny thing. So I am looking because I was like, this is it really, it was like it was horrible. And so I come across him and I was like, gosh, he's a good looking guy. He's in his motorcycle, he's a surfing pitcher. He actually had like professional pictures. Like I was like, this guy, he's a good guy. He's probably not like, he's probably like bad news. That's what I thought. And on Bumble, so here's the thing about these sites on Bumble, which is different than the other ones, is the woman has to approve communication. But
Yep.
with the
I
other,
know
one,
that
just
about
kept
Bumble.
getting
That's
emailed.
all I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I swiped right. I didn't even realize I did. I just thought he was good looking. That was it. And all of a sudden he's like messaging me and he's like, hey, you're in Green Bay. I'm in Chicago. Unless you have a helicopter, like we can't be more than pen pals. And it just started there. He asked me a shallow question. So well, yeah. So he's messaging me and I said, oh my gosh, I've never done this before. I said, where do we go from here? And so he says, well, so if you were at the grocery store, what cereal would you get? And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is exactly why I don't do this. I said,
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I hate shallow conversation. And I said, I didn't even do on Bumble. I'm like, I didn't even do a bio. And I said, I didn't waste my time doing that. I said, besides, you run anyway. So as we're messaging each other, I said that. And then we talk on the phone and he goes, why do you think I'd run? And I said, well, I said, one, I'm a Christian, two, I have 8 kids. And he said, huh, you're the first person that has more kids than me. And then it just went on from there. We got married. No, I mean, that's not all, but that's
But
how
yeah,
it started. So crazy. Isn't that crazy?
so funny. Yeah, I take my buddies' phones and I swipe on their dating sites for them. They have no idea who I match them with. And then they'll get a match
Okay.
and be like, she's cute. I'm like, you're welcome.
That's cool.
It's
That would be
fun.
fun.
It's fun.
I know a Christian matchmaker, so
There you
yeah,
go.
that would be kind
Yeah.
of a
Yes, I know it is shallow because it is, what they look like. You obviously have to be attracted to somebody first,
totally,
obviously. But
totally.
like, if you think they're cute, start a conversation. It'll be fine. I love doing that. So like, if I were with like our buddies, we're all hanging out in the garage. I'm like, give me your phone. They automatically know what I'm about to do.
That is awesome. So you have a lot of single buddies, huh?
I
That's
do.
funny.
I do. And they're, well, for context, they're all my husband's friends too. It's not like I hang out with these guys by myself or anything like
Cool.
that. But
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Very
We
cool.
all have like this big circle and we all have these single guy friends that they third wheel with us all the time. Like we go out and they'll come with us and they're like our third wheel date.
Oh my gosh.
They're
Too funny.
hilarious. They're so funny.
That's awesome.
So I know that I don't even know how to go into this question other than I'm just going to like read it off the way that it is. Tell me about navigating cult involvement because I don't even know how to go into a transition.
Well, that's kinda how I felt when it happened. So, gosh, well, let me think here. It's been a while. So this was almost 10 years ago. How do you get through cult involvement? Well, it was a slow kind of transition.
Did you know you were in one?
No, we thank God we weren't in it.
Okay.
My husband or my ex-husband ended up joining it. So
Okay.
this is kinda what happened. Yeah, no, we weren't initially involved in that.
See, I feel like some
S
people don't even know they're in a cult and then they're like, "Oh god, I'm in a
Right,
cult."
yeah, true. Cults, I mean, gosh, that's such a big term now or a
It
broad
is.
term.
It is. It
Um,
is.
so for me, we're on a roll with, like we had 7 boys. Wait, no, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 6 boys. My ex geez, how bad is that?
It's fine.
My ex always he wanted only boys, and so, as we're at number 7, right, we have our
Mhm.
first girl,
Yeah.
and that changed everything. And, especially, like, I feel very slow to talk about this situation because my daughter is an amazing gift of God, and I would never want her to doubt that.
Yes.
When she was born, though, it brought to the surface the things that my ex needed to deal with. I didn't know this, but he had women issues. He acknowledged at one point he had a fear of women. Of course, it always goes back to childhood wounds, different things. He has a twin sister, it's mom dynamics. And
Wow.
I don't think we ever really yeah, I don't think we ever really encountered any major issues in our own marriage because I was like a pretty submissive wife, like I didn't ruffle feathers. I was pretty laid back. But when we had our daughter and when all these different things would come into conversation, when he told me that, hey, women aren't created in the image of God. Oh yeah, I had a problem with that. And for sure I spoke up.
Mhm.
So those different dynamics where things that when I'm pretty laid back, but when I have strong conviction, you'll hear it. And so he was saying that I was rebellious, that I was not submissive. And so that's where the transition started happening. There was a whole lot of friction in our marriage because of that. He was looking at just different he found these things online and basically, like, he wanted me to wear a head cover. He forced our daughter to wear a head cover, because I wore makeup, and didn't wear the t-shirt and long skirts, as a
Mm.
Jezebel. I mean, it was just like it was 2 to 3 years of me wrestling with all these things, like, "God, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, this is this is not what you want." I mean, at the time, like, we had to do Sabbath, we had to go back to the law, and at the time, h I just remember thinking, "Well, God, he's doing it for you." Like, because the Bible says, "Wives, submit to your husband as unto the Lord." I was like, "Okay, well, I mean, what can I say?" So I felt like I just had to go along with it. So we argued a whole lot more and, like, I'm just kinda going along with it, and there was a point where what he was believing, what he was saying, God was just showing me, this is not the Jesus of the Bible.
Mhm.
This is not of God. And so that it was that point where I was like, "Okay, like, I'm no longer submitting as unto the Lord because this is not of the Lord." And so from there, it probably was another year, and then there was a specific organization that he got involved with, and from there, gosh, there's a whole part of these stories, but it just got to the point where there was an escape plan, where we had to escape the house and in the hopes, because he wanted to take us to the cult, basically, he wanted to take us to the state where it was, and I was like, "This it's not gonna happen." Of course, seeking counsel and all this too, and so, in stepping away with the hopes that he would come back around to see, "Hey, this is what's at stake. Your family's at stake," he still pursued it, and so just from there, it just eventually turned into, just parting ways and eventual divorce and things like that,
Mm.
but, I mean, yeah, I mean, I didn't even know I was praying so this is where So my daughter's number 7. I was pregnant with number 8 when we had to escape. I didn't even know it. I
Mm,
was 4 months along, pregnant when I when I was, like, all of a sudden, because I'm sure it was stress. I lost a lot of
yeah.
weight, and all of a sudden, I'm getting this little pooch belly, and I remember I remember going to my friend, I said, "Hey, I need a pregnancy test to prove that I'm bloated." Well, then I took the pregnancy test at, like, 5 o'clock in the morning, I just remember, and I'm like, "Lord, you have a great sense of humor." And,
Uh-huh.
yeah, he's my little one. So he's 7 years old. He is such a bundle of joy. Yeah, he's amazing.
How old
But
is your
yeah, that's
oldest?
my number 8. My oldest is 22
Okay.
and my youngest is 7, and then my
Okay.
only girl, she's 11. So and then
My
after that,
gosh.
so he's 7, she's 11, and then every 2 years up till 22.
That is crazy.
He
Wow. That is a lot.
Yeah,
How
so
long were you married to
we
him?
yeah, we called say that again?
Okay. How long were you guys married?
16 years.
My God, that's a long time.
Yeah.
He wasn't like that at all,
Yeah.
like when you guys started date or like got married or anything, was he?
No, he was a clean cut guy, and I say that because after the cult situation came in, he never drank. That became part of it, and I mean, not that there's a problem with that, but he was very much one way and never cussed, and then all of a sudden, he never cheated. He was like, I mean, before we got married, I was the one that had a really bad promiscuous past. He was never like that, and so now, yeah, it's all about I mean, I know that he has more than one wife and concubines are in the and I don't really care to talk about that stuff, no,
Yeah, yeah.
but we're talking, like, the way that it is in, like, the Bible
Yeah.
is kind of what's going in that, so it's pretty bizarre.
That is bizarre.
Yeah,
I mean, whatever you want to do, that
real
ain't for
bizarre.
me.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty intense. The great thing is, I've moved on that when people ask me questions, it's almost like, oh, like, I don't wanna say forgot because it's always gonna be about,
Mhm.
there's always gonna
Mhm.
be I'm obviously who I am now because of the different things that I've had to go through, good and bad. But I love that I'm, focusing more on where I'm at and where my marriage is going with my new husband. And
Mhm.
so yeah, but yeah, I mean, no doubt it was a wild ride. There was times where, because of the stress, my girlfriends, it was so intense. It'd be like, this is a Lifetime movie. Who's your
Mhm.
who's your actress? It was like that crazy,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like,
Seriously.
oh, Lucy Liu, that was my thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I
who
mean,
knows?
yeah, as someone like listening to that, that is definitely a Lifetime movie. Holy cow. That is, yeah. And you're, thriving now. Look at you.
Yeah, I am in such a different place, and, as hard as that first marriage was, I think what could be almost as hard is a second marriage to someone who has been single for 12 years prior,
Wow.
with the 7 kids, with the mix, yeah, so that has been a challenge in itself, and I would say that it's only been in the last year where we have hit a different place in our marriage. And
Mhm.
so first 3 years were super hard, and I knew it was gonna be because, like I said, he'd come from being single for 12 years. That's
Yeah.
a bachelor mentality, not necessarily like, I'm not talking about girls, but you do your own thing, you go to work, you eat out whenever. And so coming into where all of a sudden you have these responsibilities again, that's where he was coming from. I was coming from a place of, I made my own decisions, I didn't need to ask a man. No, I mean, I went from being the submissive wife to I came on fire. I was feisty. Like, I was like, I ain't
Mhm.
taking anybody's crap. And
Mhm.
I had to pull the reins back and finally coming to this place of, working together and seeing how our differences and our extreme, just pasts are coming together where God can work with that. And like, I love the Bible. I mean, it does say this, like, God takes the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. I mean, honestly, if you look at us, like, we just moved to California 3 years ago and we both started new businesses. So all odds from the outside looking in, all odds would look against us
Mhm.
financially, like how it's gonna work. You know, he's a biker, total just we couldn't be more opposite. Just all the things that it looks like odds are stacked up against us. But God, I know that God is going, that's where I work. That's where I get to show off. And so that's what I'm seeing right now is God brought me to a huge place of healing just with all the junk from the past. I thought I was good to go. Like there was so much healing. I knew that I was in the midst of all that, strong, joyful, forgiving, you know, held it with my kids. But it wasn't until I got married the second time where I realized how much I just kind of lost faith in relationships. I lost faith in
Oh, yeah.
men. I would never have called myself bitter, but you know, like when Satan can take a lie in a situation, it's like he just kind of stacks up on that. So there were different situations younger where I don't know. I just remember whether a coach or a boss where it's like, gosh, I put so much faith and trust in these men in different ways. I mean, just relationally, not anything like sexual, nothing like that. But it was like there was some sort of betrayal. And so it happened over and over to where the ultimate was when I was married. So what happened in the second marriage? I already came in going, I had put no stock in it. It was subconscious, but my
Mhm.
mentality was, I am putting no stock in this marriage. It is going to be that I'm going to have to take care of me and my kids. And so that was my attitude in marriage, thinking like
Mhm.
anytime anything happened, I was quick to harden my heart. Like I would never leave because I'm committed, you know, like
Mhm.
contractually, right? But I be there, you know? And so now it's totally different. So to say that I'm thriving, like I could honestly say, that I'm in a really good place with that, really good place with, you know, just settling in, knowing that that in terms of like, you know, book writing and the podcasting we're starting up again. I feel like I'm in a good place in a different place than I was before. I feel like things are
Mhm.
finally like starting to click in all together. Whereas
Mhm.
before it's like I was starting with the podcast, but I'm going, man, like my marriage sucks. It's just like different I'd be like, "Uh, you know, this is good," and, you know, I know we go through seasons, but when it comes to marriage, and we had talked about this a little bit, you and I, that, it is awesome to know, like, you know what? This is my partner, and especially with what I went through, to know that I could trust someone again and to know that I have companionship where I know that you know, he's in it, and he's in it for life, and I am too, and we're gonna do whatever it takes to keep it working. That's a great feeling.
It is. I agree. There's so much that you said that just reminds me of myself, and it's very comforting to know that there are other people out there that have the exact same situation. Then, well, not the exact same, but a lot of the same situations. And I came from two extremely toxic relationships, and I met my husband when I was still dating this last guy. I mean, that's messed up, but you know, God put him there for a reason. Whatever. Technically my husband's a rebound if we're gonna be technical about it, but that was uh 12 years ago. So I mean it's
Okay,
fine.
yeah. Hey, I
Met
hear
him when
that. I
I
was a rebound too. Yeah.
yeah, I was 19 when I met him. And you know, I remember the day that I met him, I just felt like there was something about him. Like, God, if you're trying to tell me something, give me a sign or something. And it was just I don't know. I felt so at peace and just like my nervous system calmed down. Like as soon as I was like near him, I felt so calm and it was so weird to think that my body was just tense the entire time I was around the men that I was dating. And I felt
Yeah.
so calm. And it's like, okay, God,
Yeah.
what are you doing? That's weird. Okay. And I
That's
listened
awesome.
and I've never been so happy with somebody in my entire life. And like you said, like you're in it for the long haul and that's exactly how he is and how I am. And people are like, you know, you guys are not the normal young couple that people see because like I'm 32, he's 33 and people think like, "Oh, you guys are going to not love each other in the next couple of years." No, it's getting stronger,
Why do
but
people say that?
whatever. I mean, we're in a honeymoon stage still. in a different honeymoon
Oh,
stage. That's the thing. It's like it changes the phase of your honeymoon stage, and I don't think that it has to end. And I think a lot of people think
right.
the honeymoon stage is over. It doesn't matter anymore. It's like, no, the honeymoon stage is still there. It's just morphed into something different,
Yeah, totally.
you know?
I giggle a little bit. I don't know if you heard me, but with my husband, it is so crazy. He says what you say. He's like, when we lie down, as soon as he touches me, it's like he like gets the little like the shakes like he's gonna fall asleep. And I'm like, dude, do I bore you? He's like, this has never before.
Yeah.
He's like, as soon as you touch me, he's like, I just have this like safe feeling to where it's like, yeah, his body just starts to settle. And so he just, it's like, he's like, I don't know what it's called, but I'm
Like a
like,
flinch.
it's like, oh,
Uh-huh.
yes, yes.
Huh?
Yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
but we giggle because it's that thing. It's when you're about to fall asleep and you just like kind of just, but I'm like, dude, like, yeah, I'm like, I'm for you. He's like, no, you're my safe place. So
Yeah.
that's encouraging to know because, like I
Yeah.
said, it wasn't always like that. So
Yeah. And it's funny
that's
you
awesome.
say that, like if you're laying down or whatever. If I ever go on like a girls trip or I'm like at my sister-in-law's house or something and I'm not sleeping with my husband, he cannot sleep. He lays on top of me.
That's
Like his arm, my left arm is always numb when we're sleeping because he lays on it. It is so weird when you get so comfortable with somebody and then you're trying to like sleep without them and it's awful. And he gets so mad at me if I take my pillow. He's like, "Oh my God, you took your pillow too?" He gets so upset.
like, leave me something. Oh, that's funny. Oh, cool.
He's like, "It smells like your hair." I'm like, "Oh God." You don't realize how much you need that person until their body is not next to you. And it's like, I really need you next to me, God.
For sure. Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, that's awesome.
So tell me about how did you reclaim your identity after all of those crazy circumstances with your ex-husband in your own way?
How did I replay? I mean, it was for sure a journey. I looking back, I see how God prepared me in different ways. So when that time came, when I really had to like just kind of make the move or call the shots. He used so many different people. Like he used for sure a friend group of mine where I finally had to open up and say, hey, guys, things aren't good. And so it was me opening up to about 5 girls. And that's where the shift happened because when you just keep something to yourself, your thoughts and your thing, you're going crazy, and
You're
I thought I was
spiraling.
crazy. Yeah, for sure, in so many different ways, whether, talking about yourself, thinking about the things that I mean, I remember because I was told that, because you're not creating the image of God, he doesn't hear your prayers, and you have to have a covering. You have to literally have something over your head in order for, God to hear
Mm,
you. And so things that were so absurd to me, because I know my relationship with God. I mean, that was the best thing I've ever done was, commit to being like a follower of Jesus. And I was way, for a long time, way before marriage. And so to come to this place of going, God, who am I to you? Do you even hear me? I remember praying one time. I was on my knees. We actually had this designated prayer area, and I was just cold, and so I'm just like God, do you hear me? And I felt like okay, like I put the blanket over my head, like God, do you hear
hmm
me now? It was like that Verizon thing, like because I just felt like, do you
Yeah.
hear me? Am I your daughter? Am I significant to you? And so God used those moments, those times of prayer, those friends, the word of God to really like get me to where, oh, those things that you're hearing about you, if they don't fall in line with what I'm saying about you in my word, you're my daughter. You are created in the image of God. Like I formed you in your mom's womb. I have a plan and a purpose for you, not just for a man. Like all those things
hmm
he completely anchored me in not only who he was, but who I am in him, that he just girded me with strength to prepare to have to make the decisions that I made for my kids, for me. I mean, it's crazy, like going through that. I just remember, especially as a Christian, because There were not many, but there were a few that would say, "Hey, you know what? You gotta stay for the sake of the marriage. You gotta stay because you're a Christian." It's almost like, "Hey, woman, suck it up because, you're married
Doesn't it
and
say in
what's
the
it gonna do?"
Bible that God, I'm going to butcher this. There's something about you can leave the marriage if maybe it's cheating. Maybe I'm full of it.
Well, no, for sure there's the cheating, right?
Yeah.
But see, I know exactly. So there's a scripture where, a couple things. So it says, "A woman shall not leave her husband," right? But if she must. It's
Mhm.
interesting that that was
Mhm.
written there because
Mhm.
Paul knew there are times she's gotta go. And I would not there I don't think there's any sort of, I mean, yes, there's the cheating, but to me, I just have to say this, I needed to be so close to God to hear him tell me when, how, why, all those things. I know this much that there was a time where, um, that scripture that you're referring to, it says, a a believer, so this was it, gosh, see, now I'm thinking about it too.
I know, and I
It
can't.
says that if a non-believer wants to stay with the believer, or to stay married. But if the non-believer, and this is why I'm saying it because it was so, like, crucial to me. It says, if the non-believer wants to leave, the believer shall be in peace. N That was a scripture I heard over and over again, but I know one time where 3 times in a day I heard that verse. And God said, "Eileen, he's no longer in the faith. Like, he's chosen to walk away from you, and he's chosen to walk away from the faith. Be at peace." And I remember that changed everything. That's when all of a sudden, because I wasn't bitter toward men. So we were already divorced at that moment, but I just felt like, because I was told I was property too, that even though we were divorced, that I would be an adulteress and that I was his property. So I wrestled. I didn't do this. I So once God made that clear, all of a sudden it was like, "Oh, God,"
Mhm.
like, it took a little bit of time. Sudden I was, like, longing for companionship, and I started praying for, like, I was open because I before that wasn't, like I said, wasn't bitter. I just didn't have time to think about guys. I was totally, like, focusing on my kids. And
How long were
so
you
then all of a
single?
sudden when that I was single for 4 years. Yeah, so when he showed me that, I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, I'm at peace," and then all of a sudden God has a way of just kind of prompting you, like I said, I wasn't really in a date or anything, all of a sudden, he's, like, kinda putting in my heart, like, "Hey, long for relationship again," and so I did, and then when I did, I started praying about it, and so, yeah, that God has a way of doing that.
For sure. And I know you said that, okay, would you describe yourself as a submissive wife at all anymore? Or how would you guys describe your
Yeah.
marriage now? Okay.
I mean, submission it's mutual submission for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just part of it. So biblical submission is a beautiful thing. It's submission that is the stereotypical submission, which unfortunately my first marriage turned into. Didn't start out like that, but it turned into, basically I was a doormat. Basically, I was like, I had no voice. So in this second marriage, what I've learned? It's strategy, and God gives me strategies. So when I said that, like the second marriage, I came in feisty. I was not taking his junk. We both were operating from our past relationships, and so he was
Mm-hmm.
like that too. I was like, anything that I did, if there was some sort of trigger from a past relationship, oh yeah, we were both like button heads because of that. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what God has shown is, yes, I have a voice. I have my own personality. I'm a strong woman, but God said, "The gentle, quiet spirit is precious in the sight of God." He was saying, "Eileen, that's not changed. You have a voice, doesn't mean you can't use it, but now let's use it strategically." So he was showing me that I can address something, and the way that I approach my husband is totally different than me being like, "Hey, what about this?" And there's
Mm-hmm.
just certain things. Give props to Rise Up Queens. That there's Rise Up Queens and Rise Up Kings. They're based out in Dallas. My husband and I have been a part of this community where they're big on just marriage and marriage dynamics, communication,
Mm-hmm.
and that has been help for me to understand how to communicate with my husband, to put him in a situation where if I approach him in the right way, then he wants to step up as that protector and provider that he desires to be for me. And so when I
Yep.
come vulnerably, which is super hard for women, right? Super hard for women,
Hmm.
especially if I feel like so me working on that, me pushing through even if I don't feel safe, it raises him up to be that man, that strong man who wants to love me, who wants to protect me, who wants to provide for me. It's about, it's strategy.
Give
It's
and take.
strategic. And so, yeah, yeah, and so I've learned that, I don't just because I'm strong and just because of what I went through, it doesn't mean I have to be manly. Like, just I mean, that their thing, a lot of it is, staying in your feminine, and I was like, "What the
Mm-hmm.
heck does that mean?" I didn't understand,
Mm-hmm.
flu
Yes.
but now I get it. Yeah, now I get
Yeah.
it, and it is completely helping our marriage. So, yeah,
And I
totally
love that
different place, totally different
love that you said that about the feminine because when I met my husband, I was also 19 and I didn't know my style or whatever, but I was very in my masculine energy because I was in survival mode and I didn't realize it. And now the longer that I've been with him, I wear jewelry. I get my nails done, my eyelash. Well, I do my own eyelashes because they're cheap and I'm not spending $200 on that. That's crazy. But I wear dresses more. I want to be pretty and cute and done up and like that truly like I know that's just my outer appearance, but when you feel good about yourself and I work out and I make sure that I look good for my husband. I do it for myself too so I can age gracefully, but there is a pride
totally.
thing in that. Like being
Mhm.
able to say that you're man, I mean, granted, you do a lot of your work to be in your own feminine energy, but at the same time, I truly believe that the man that you're with really puts you in that space if he's doing it the
For
right way.
sure. Correct. Yes, yes, for sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I had to go through, gosh, I went through this event that they put on where I had to really work deep on me to where, just like you said, the man has to do his part. Well, he had not gone actually literally this week at this event that I had done in February. He's doing it now for the men's thing. But I had to come to the place of even if he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do as a man, I had to push through to stay in my feminine, to understand my role as a helper that I get to bring that out in him. So I've seen it happen where he wasn't, here I'm like waiting for him to be the man and the provider and it wasn't happening. And again, it's just because his own wounding is, I mean, so I'm not talking bad about him. It's just
Yeah.
the process, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
in this process, he wasn't doing those things, but seeing how me working on me and me stepping it up to basically like speak it and to speak it out in him to be like you are my man, like that whole respect piece, and to say things that didn't believe. It's like that was changing our relationship so
Yes.
much, and that's what's going on. So yes, he's there right now, and it's like I'm so excited because he had day one yesterday, and it's hard, it's intense,
I
and he's like,
bet.
I don't like this. He's like, and I'm like going, he's like, I don't think I can last 4 days of this. And I said, just take it one day at a time. And because I know I didn't like it either. Like I cried for 2 days straight when I went to my
Mm-hmm.
event. So I'm excited for, what he's going through and what we're gonna be on the same page more than before. So I'm really excited to see how that looks.
Yeah. That is awesome. That's really cool that there's like
Yeah.
an event for that too, because like a lot of people don't have
Yes.
stuff for that. They just have to learn it as they go. And sometimes people just fail so miserably at it and they don't even know how to start to think about
Yeah.
these things. And the fact that there's some kind of resource to do that, that is amazing.
For
That is
sure.
awesome. That is
It's crazy.
awesome.
It's almost like textbook. Like there were
Hmm.
times where, I'd vent to my coach and I'd be like, these are the things that are happening. And she would acknowledge and validate me, but she would go, okay, try this, do this. This is what he's thinking. This is and and I would do it. And it was like textbook. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly the dynamics. If I came to him like this was the result, the consequence of, and it was just like, wow, okay, God, that's how you wired a man. And that's how you
Yeah.
wired a woman. Okay.
Yep.
So
It's
it's been exciting.
it's like when my husband and I started, when we bought our first house and we bought it in 2017, I did not know how to communicate to him that I needed him to help me by like sweeping the floor. And he thought it was nagging. And I'm not nagging, but I'm just asking. I didn't know how to communicate that at all. And I'm like, man,
Mhm.
I feel like a broken record. I'm just saying the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
And he's not listening to me. This is stupid. I can't do this. Wow. And then when we moved into this house, we built this house in 2023. So we've been here 2 years.
Yeah.
We would sat down at the table and I'm like, listen, I work from home. I'm going to do main cooking, cleaning, all that. Like I already established that. But there are two things that I need help with because we deep clean on Sundays. Can you please mop the floor and please sweep the floor? That is all I need help with. I'm doing everything else for the rest of the week. And he still didn't get it. So I got to the point where I'm like, I need to change my delivery. There needs to be something else that I'm saying because this literally is not making sense in his head. And I'm not saying he's stupid. That man is so smart. But there needs to be, I
Yes.
need to speak in blue language instead of pink language. And
Mhm.
once I got to the point where I was like, how do I say this in a different way? So when
Yeah.
he walks in from the garage and says, babe, can you please help me with something? I'm immediately dropping what I'm doing and going helping him. So I gave him that analogy. I said, okay, I am you in the
Mm.
garage and you need me to help you pick up something heavy, which always sucks because I know it's going to be ungodly heavy.
Yeah. Right. I need you. Oh
I
wow.
need you, I know, I need you to help me sweep and mop. That is my garage to you. And he goes, oh,
Wow. Got it.
okay. I don't know what the hell it
Yeah.
was, but it flipped a switch. And Sundays, he knows he sweeps and he mops. And I say thank you every single time. And I've had people say to me, why do you thank your husband for doing something? He lives there. Because I respect him still and I'm appreciative. And
Yeah.
that's the difference. And you have to appreciate your spouse for doing these things. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's changing
You
your
know, it goes,
delivery.
it's totally. Yeah. And who doesn't like to be thanked? I mean, I love to be thanked. You know what? People don't realize how much of a key that is. When my husband says, thank you so much, and I appreciate this, dude, he just got a whole lot more being done. Like that's like paying it forward. When I hear that,
Hmm.
I want to do so much more. I wanna bless him. I want to hear it again.
Yep.
It just makes me move and it's the same thing for him.
Absolutely.
So when we
Absolutely.
yeah, our work is so powerful. Yeah.
Yes. And it's your tone. That's the other thing is people mess up. You cannot come at him with like your voice 100,000 miles high and expect him to be
Yeah.
calm. You really like it. And I say this a lot in videos on TikTok. When your man walks in the door, don't immediately bombard him with things. Come at him with, okay, think about it like a fire. If a fire is like a bonfire, do you think he's going to be calm? No. But if it's a little baby candle, where do you think the energy is going to be? He's going to match your energy. He's not going to come at it combative and angry if you're coming at it with like
Right.
a tiny flame versus a bonfire. Like you really have to
Yes.
think
That's
about
good.
it's not complicated. Men are really not complicated and people make men complicated. They're not. You just have to really simplify it and say, sweetheart, I would really
Yeah.
appreciate if you did this or whatever. And they're
Yes.
not going to sit there and be like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, read the room too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. See, I had to learn a lot of that because I would give the, you know, I would, and as soon as he can anticipate that I was going to be longer instead of just sometimes just asking for what he wanted or what I wanted, it's like he was starting to tune me out already because he was bracing himself and I could feel it.
Yes.
And so now I go, you know what? Hey, I would love this. And he wants to win. A man wants to win. We have to set them up
They
to
want to
win.
be the protector.
Yes.
They want to fix things
Yes.
always.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's so much of what I learn is, and sometimes like when it comes to things like I think as a woman who loves God, I think there's women who just think like, okay, they need to pray, they need to lead this and they need to do that. And sometimes I know for me, I'll just speak for me,
Mhm.
where I put the guilt on or I just like have this look of disappointment. You know what? Either I do it because I know that I need to cover my family in prayer. So I'm going to pray because someone needs to do it. Or I'll say, hey, can you read this? Or can you, like, cause I have just different prayer books. Can you read this? Can you, no guilt involved. There's no like, can you,
Uh-huh.
it's me. And it's like, yeah, I could do that. And he does it. So there's no guilt there. There's no shame there. I get what I want.
Yep.
He's doing it and he
Yep.
feels like he won.
Yep.
Man, we as women complicate things so much. And you know what? But we need to
Yeah.
learn, you
Yeah.
know?
Like last night, I'm a photographer too. I'm like 100,000 things, Eileen.
Cool,
I
cool.
went,
Photographer,
I
awesome.
went to, I was going to a photo shoot and I was taking family pictures last night. And I had asked him because I shake rugs out. We have like 100,000 rugs in this house because I don't have carpet because ew. And we leave them on the porch. Well, I forgot to do it Sunday. So I said, hey, when I'm gone, can you please shake the rugs out? He goes, yeah, and put them back. And I was like, perfect. I come back, they're done because I asked him kindly, and I'm not being like, can you do that while I'm gone? Like,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
not complicated. And
Yeah.
I really think that women they don't really vet their partners enough before they get married, and they also think that they can change men when you cannot. Do not marry somebody if you expect to change them. If you think I'm going to be able to morph this
Yeah.
man into this thing that I want, like, no. Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So, I do want to talk about what Lady Bellator stands for and what inspired you to start that.
Lady Bellator. So, lady refers to the royalty piece. Bellator is Latin for warrior. So that started out of it was actually something that someone had told me. So as I was like stepping into authorship, and I don't like that word entrepreneurship, but when I was
Huh?
stepping out home to do the coaching and to do all these things, we had a conversation about branding and, like what would it look like? And he actually he's a man of God. And so he was saying, Eileen, God is telling me that you are a contending matriarch. And for me, based off of my past, when I heard the word matriarch, I felt like it was a feminist word. And so I felt uncomfortable when he was saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. And he goes, no, he goes, look up matriarch. And he's like, a matriarch in a community is a wiser, older woman who's
Mm-hmm.
respected by men and women. She's so if you look at like tribes and different things, there's always someone like that. And so he was like, yeah, you're the one who fights for your family, you fight for your marriage, you're fighting for the women, who lost their voice. And so when he was telling me that, and I did some research, so I was like, you know what? I am that. Like I receive that. And Lord help me. Like I'm like talking to God, I'm like, God, help me to walk into that. And I said, but that is an ugly name, contending matriarch. I mean, that's just not something that sounds like sexy or sweat. So I'm like, God, how do I say that without saying that? And
Huh?
I woke up at 4 in the morning and he told me, he's like, go look up warrior in Latin. And I look it up and I find Bellator. I'm like, oh my gosh, cool. And so then in the morning, I told my husband, I'm like, hey, what about Bellator? And he's the one, he's like, well, what about Lady Bellator? Because it sounded more feminine. And then, so I had the name. And I was like, okay. And I'm kind of drawing her out. And as I'm doing that, God started revealing who she is. And in a nutshell, it is the Proverbs 31 woman, the four pillars of her, which God had told me. And I hated that proverb before because I felt like I could never live up to her. She was just like this perfect woman that I just hated that. I felt shame looking at that proverb. But God showed me how it looks for me. And he showed me that in that proverb, she's a daughter of God. So she is that royalty. She has an inheritance. She has authority. She's a bride of Christ. She's the wife. She is that contending mother. So it talks about all this in that, in that proverb. And she's a kick butt entrepreneur. So she's all those things, but it looks different to each woman, and it's different in the different seasons of life. But she's those four things, and that's what a Lady Bellator is. And so that's how it started. That's where, all these things came from. But yeah, so that's right.
How long have you been coaching women?
Gosh, you know what? I would say, it's weird because I volunteered a while ago, a long time ago, with a program that has probably been such a huge, well, for sure. It had it helped me out so much when I went through my stuff. So Life Skills International, I was a facilitator for that. I did it locally in Green Bay. Well, locally when I was there.
When
And
you
so
were
I
locally.
facilitated for that. That was a 6-month program that dealt with the subconscious mind. It dealt with relationships. It dealt with like conflict resolution, all these things. So that was a major part of what I had done. And so I was facilitating then, and eventually got paid, but I mean, there's something I just wanted to volunteer for. So that I would say that is a lot of, while I was a stay-at-home mom, that was like the coaching piece that
Hmm.
I'm starting to implement now. So coaching, I'm just really starting out with
Okay.
that. Like, yeah. So I've done it here and there. I've done bouts at a time, but I've always pulled back the reins because my family's come first. So it's like, I couldn't get so into it to where, I mean, and it was always God led because I just felt like, the times where where I was like, God, I'm ready. Like, I want to do this. He was like, no, you're not. You're
Hmm.
not. You gotta, prioritize things. So yeah, so it's still, I mean, we're still in the baby stages if you want to call it technically like coaching. So
That's
that
awesome.
if that answers your question. But
Yeah.
in terms of mentoring, so if like when I think of coaching, I think you get paid, right? But mentoring, oh, I've been doing that for a long time. So now it's just kind of like making it official too, you know.
Yeah. To monetize
Yeah,
off
but
of
I
it. That
mean,
makes sense.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I know this much. Like I never would have guessed, because I feel like I've mentored and like helped women since I was in college and since I worked at a college. I've always had that piece.
What led you to launch your podcast? I know you talked briefly about that. Was there anything specific that made you want to launch that?
It was okay. So my first book was or is called Sideline No More, helping pro athlete wives get off the bench to live out their God given purpose. That was the first book I wrote. And I self-published. So as I was trying to get that out, I was thinking, like, how do I promote this? So it started out as, you know what? Because so this book is going out to, here's the thing. I am 52, and so it leaves, gosh,
I
when I
would have
wrote this
never
book, I think it was
guessed that
about
in a
4 years.
million years.
Yeah. See, yeah, and thank you.
Nope.
So yeah, so I am so far removed
42,
from the women in
43,
NFL.
maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, hey, I mean, I Filipino genes, no doubt. Thank
Yes.
God that
Yes.
there's something about that. But
Huh?
thank God for Madison. Shout out to Madison Reed. That's my hair dye. So it's cool stuff. We need a baby for that. If you're hearing this, I'm just kidding. So getting back to what I was saying, I am so far removed from the women that are actually in it. And so what I would do is I was trying to like promote it out to women that I played with, women that were the wives of players. So
Hmm.
everybody who got the book of people that I knew and we were older, they're like, oh my gosh, you nailed it. Like totally, I wish I had this book when we were in the league, all those things. And so yeah, that was like I basically was like, okay, I got to get a hold of these women and have them write reviews or do some sort of interview so that
Hmm.
this can reach out to the other ones. That's how the podcast started was, I would just call some friends from the Packers and I was like, hey, do you mind doing an interview with me? And I said, it's totally casual. We'll cut, edit, whatever. And
Huh?
I said, I'm just going to house them. and then we'll see. And so it wasn't that long that I was housing them, and then all of a sudden I was approached by, someone who said, "Hey, you got to do this. You got to, package up the podcast." And I know I couldn't do it. Like yeah, I just can't not do all the things.
That's
Pod Up,
so
Pod
much.
Allies. Yeah, they're my big help. Like all I do is I just
Hit
record it,
record.
get that conversation, get to that, do everything else. Cause yeah, I just don't have the time for that with I forever. I'm just literally a taxi driver these days now that school's starting again. So that's just my world. But yeah, so that's how the podcast started. So it had a lot to do. Last season, the Unsideline Life had to do mostly or kind of a highlight of just really reaching out to these pro athlete wives or women in the limelight where as a strong woman, because this is characteristic of women in the NFL. These are strong women who already have their things going, whether they're in college or they have their business or they're working, they're doing something, their careers, they set it all aside to join their spouses. And so then, like I talked about, the kind of identity crisis thing, you are stepping into a whole new world. And so in that way, she gets sidelined. And so that was what this, that
Mm.
first season was to kind of like, hey, like, if you're not just the wife of. And so, of course, I had different guests too. Like I always wanted to get a Lady Bellator on the show, someone who knew who knew her role as all the things. Like I had a yoga instructor, faith-based yoga instructor on there. I had just authors, just different women who did different things, but I always wanted to highlight her. This season, we sideline ourselves in so many ways. I know this is one of the questions that you had asked.
Mhm.
A sideline for me at one time was me waiting for my husband to get better so that our marriage would be better. It
Mhm.
was me being sidelined thinking like, okay, well, I like my health. I can't focus on me. I can't, have any sort of self-care, the things I like to do because it's all about everybody else. Like we neglect ourselves. So
Uh-huh.
yes, we're to serve others, but God never called us to totally like have self-neglect or self-denial in the
Mm-mm.
sense of like not taking care of yourself or, like you can't have dreams or goals or hobbies
Mhm.
or different dreams like desires, and so I'm really honing in on that this season is
I
like,
love
hey,
that.
let's talk about health. I know for me this whole like pre post menopause stuff like
Mhm.
that's a total that thing that's a butt kicker when
I
you gain weight all of a sudden and what the heck, I'm not doing anything different, it sucks. So all that we're dealing with this season.
ugh, that's a
So I'm
lot.
looking forward to yeah. Yes.
Where did my place go? Oh god. My iPad just went. Whew. Okay.
Oh,
Let's do rapid fire Q&A. Favorite worship song right now?
okay, so my 2, I Trust in God, that's one. I don't know the author or the singer, but the other one is One More Day, Sons of Sunday, I think it's called. Oh, I love that song.
Your go-to comfort food after a tough day.
Thankfully, I am not a comfort food person, so I
You
don't really
lucky.
go to that. Hey, but when you talk about the end of the day part, think that uh something that seems to be basically in and out somehow at the end of the day, at the end of a long day, somehow my family ends up there.
It's so good.
That would be the comfort food, yes.
What
It's
makes
probably
you
not the
laugh?
best, but
Yeah, I mean it's still good though.
yes, it is. What makes me laugh?
No matter what.
Farts.
Yes.
Fart? I don't know if there's anything outside of that that can make me laugh.
No, me either. Me
So,
either.
farts are great.
What does unsidelined look like in your everyday life?
The unsidelined now, gosh, the thing that just operating in all cylinders for me right now. So healthy marriage, mom who I know that I have a great relationship with all the kids, not that it's perfect, but to have a transparent relationship, that's been good. My house is in order. That's a big thing that God has shown me is like making my house home for everybody has been huge. And then, really because of my health and because of my priorities, I can now do the coaching and the writing, and I feel like it's clear. I feel like I'm not that hypocritical things or like,
Mhm.
I don't know this, I just feel like I'm at a great place to really speak truth and live it out. And so yeah, operating all cylinders.
I love that. So, where can listeners connect with you? I'm going to put all of your stuff in the show notes too, so people have your links and everything. But right off the top of your head, where can people connect with you?
Yeah, awesome. I mean, of course, Instagram, like, and I suck at technology. I think you said that too, but you'll see me Facebook, ladybellator.com. My podcast, it launches every Wednesday. So episode 1 is said the date today. Well, I don't know what you, but basically this is the Wednesday. I
18th.
don't even know.
Yep.
Wednesdays. This is the current Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wednesdays is when they come out. So season 2 just started. And yeah, so I'm working on my Proverbs 31 devotional. And so if you go to ladybellator.com, when I am done with a chapter, I can shoot it right out to you, and then you'll be on the waiting list for the book. I'm hoping to be done by January. Who knows, life just
Mm-hmm.
takes it, but it is going to be. So I'm so excited about that because, like I said, that proverb, when I first read it, it was so discouraging. It was so deflating. Like, gosh, I am so not like that. I can't live up to her. But what God is showing me, it has been awesome. And I know that anyone who reads that, no matter what age, where
Mm-hmm.
stage, she's gonna be encouraged.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to say? The floor is yours. Anything at all?
No, I love what you're doing. I love having these conversations.
Me
And I
too.
love just the fact that you were talking about early on, like how, women, God gave us our husbands. And hearing you say how, you were praising your husband and talking about like how much his voice and his wisdom and his, like knowledge, how much you honor that. That's huge. I love that you
Mm-hmm.
did that because, we need to speak that. There's too much of the world that kind of just it messes with guys, the
Mm-hmm.
married with children kind of guy or the homer guy. You know what? We need to like lift up our men
We
because
do.
there's so much more than
We do.
that. Yeah.
I really, really appreciate you coming on and talking to me. This has been a great conversation, and I'm just so thankful that you took the time to do this with me.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Totally enjoyed it. Like I said, it was a break in my day. So I love this. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yeah. Thank you.